And Gary, so I think one thing that probably like the entire world want to know is like, so you have this ability to find yourself in a horrible position, get out, and go to a great position. That, by the way, is the entire structure that we are doing.
Sure.
How did you develop that? Is that something that you do on training, like you let people get in your submission holds and that kind of stuff? How is it?
Yeah, so there's like a lot to it. Like I mentioned in the DVD, but like there's something special about escaping submissions that's a little different, I think, than most of what we do in jiu-jitsu, because you have to force yourself to practice it. Like every other part of jiu-jitsu, for the most part, it's like pretty organic. It's like you have to pass the guard, like you have to try to take somebody's back. You're gonna eventually have to try your own submission holds, otherwise you can't progress, right? But you don't have to try to learn how to escape things unless you're in a position early on in jiu-jitsu, like when you're a white belt, blue belt, where people are constantly putting you in submissions. That's probably the phase of jiu-jitsu where people spend the most time learning how to defend submissions. But after that, once you learn enough preventative strategies to like, all right, well, I know how to protect my arms, I know how to protect my neck. Now every roll, how often do you really find yourself in submission danger? Probably not that much. So in order to keep that skill equal to all these other skills that you're building, I have to go, all right, well, this roll, I'm either gonna start in a fully locked armbar or I'm gonna do something in the roll to give my training partner the arm. And this is something that from an early stage,
Parenthesis here, so you do that against everybody, correct, or against like the guys who are lower level than you. But if you go against Gordon and start with the fully armor, that'd be fun.
I think both are important. Like it's obviously at the beginning when you're first starting, it's you know what? It's not even so much as important the level of the person. It's more important the level of control they have, right? Because like I could go with a white belt, and if he's like just like an angry spaz, and even though he's not good and just rips the arm, well, now I'm in trouble, right? Like Gordon, like he knows like when an arm's gonna break. So like even though he's probably gonna tap me, he's not gonna hurt me. He's gonna slowly go through it. So it's like I think the important thing is to find training partners that you can train with in a safe enough way where you can give them a locked out submission and like like, all right, this guy's gonna protect me. Like he's gonna lock it out to the point where I could get hurt, but he's not gonna take it any further than that. And I think it's like that's where like teamwork in jiu-jitsu kind of comes in, right? Like it's a very individual sport, but it takes a collaborative group of people to like make an athlete like better. Because if you didn't have that, you just had a bunch of scumbags training with you, trying to like rip your shit off all the time. It's kind of tough to go on. But yeah, so I would put myself in bad positions all the time. From the beginning, Tom used to tell me like, hey man, it's a super important, like you got to learn how to get out of bad positions. Cool. And then furthermore, when I was with John, he explained that like, it's kind of like the fundamental basis of what we do. It's like, if you can't escape bad position, what are we even here for? Because once you get put in a bad spot, it's over, right? And now, once you get good at that, all those defenses, it opens your offense up so much more. Now I can do moves where like, all right, it exposes my back a little bit. So what? If I get put in the back, like I'll get out. It exposes my arm a little bit. Well, no big deal. Like I'll be able to find a way out of there. And it just gives you so much more confidence to try. Like, you talk about like me being exciting and doing like, a lot of crazy moves and stuff like that. It makes it a little easier to do things like that because now there's less risk involved. The more risk I can take away, the more I can take risk. If that makes sense. Sounds like it doesn't make sense, but it does.
Because at the ADCC, we were there, and there was just like a flock of people would go all the way over to your matches. All of them were just like these action-packed, Mickey Ward Gotti type, like to boxing and just back and forth. But you put yourself in some crazy danger, and next thing you know, you're out of it. And that's when the crowd is like, you get those deep, like, oh, and then the back and forth.
No, and there is nothing worse when you're competing in jiu-jitsu than getting a submission and letting it go. Because the person who's getting out gets out like 1,000,000%, and you are completely frustrated. So and that's your thing. So you probably get out like 2,000,000%, like ready to kill the guy.
It can be very frustrating, I think, for certain people. Because this is a weird thing to brag about, but I'm going to brag about it anyway. I think if you take a look at my matches, more so than any other athlete like that's ever existed, I probably get my back taken like more often than, or guard passed, whatever you want to say, more often than any other athlete. Now, when you look at that at face value, you would say to yourself, like, all right, well, if that happens, like, he must suck. It's like, but saying that, if I have my back taken more often than anybody else, why am I not getting submitted? Like, why is that person on my back, is that not resulting in the end of the match every single time? And these are questions that people should ask themselves.